the air. We're racing at Talladega.
Kind of an odd start to the race. I thought Jesse Love took the top because Austin Hill was going to let him down in front of him. And RCR would lead the bottom row, but no such case here, as now the two have lost some momentum.
That top line fell back, but now the 21 has gone up there to pick it up. So the blue and white 21 of Austin Hill out in front. 81 of Chandler Smith, that green top to the car, right behind the 21, giving a little bit of a push. Here comes the 2 of Jesse Love behind him.
You can see the outside line is a little more organized. Some drivers are bailing to get to the bottom, trying to get some energy on that bottom lane.
Looking back from Austin Hill's car, thanks to Bennett Transportation giving us this onboard view. There's that pass-through penalty, Steve, you talked about, Eric Almirola.
Yeah, so he won't lose a lap by rolling down pit road, but now he'll be all by himself on the racetrack. He'll be 2, 3, maybe 4 seconds slower than these cars that are packed together.
A.J. Allmendinger in the 16 trying to make that inside line work. He's got a little bit of help with Riley Herbst in the 98 behind him.
One thing these drivers have to deal with is in the race tomorrow, in the Cup race, you can lock bumpers. You can put your front bumper to somebody's rear bumper and push the entire lapper as long as you can before you overheat. In this series, that's against the rules. You can bump them, you can push the guy, but you can't lock bumpers. If you do, NASCAR will penalize you. See, that's an effort. That rule is an effort to try to prevent those wrecks from bad pushes. That's the reason that rule is implemented. But it changes the way these guys have to race.
You have always talked also about that bubble, the air bubble that's in these cars, that sometimes they don't actually get to the bumper, but push them just because of the air.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, drafting is an art. Not everybody's good at it. You can see several drivers trying to make it 3 wide. Kind of hung those guys out in the middle. But yeah, you try to get right to the close to that rear bumper of the car in front of you to give them a big push, but sometimes as you get closer to them, that your air pushes them away from you.
That's the case with Riley Herbst in the 98 pushing A.J. Allmendinger. He got him up next to the top 2, but not enough momentum to get in front. And now the 21 of Austin Hill, how much is he going to be looking in his mirror?
Yeah, the entire time. I mean, 85% of it. You know, look at his eyes. So watch, let's ride along. You know, that, look rear view, right? Left, so that's the rear view mirror. When he glances to the left, our right, there's a mirror on the left side of the car, so he can see the cars underneath him. So right now, he knows the 16 of Allmendinger is underneath him. He saw that happening. He could have tried to block it. He decided not to.
Allmendinger takes the lead, and he slides in front of the 21 of Hill. And now Allmendinger in control of this race.
We've talked a lot about what it takes to make the passes. We haven't talked a lot about the defensive moves, the blocking we're going to see. And I think at this point of the race, you're not going to see a whole lot of big blocks because losing the lead, no big deal at lap 5. But you kind of get a little bit of a test of how quickly these runs come later in the race, especially the closing laps. You're going to see, well, there's one. A defensive move by Allmendinger to move up to the upper lane.
I think a little bit of a change, though, is there's only 20 laps till the end of stage 1, and points are going to be paid. So this aggressive block right there by Sam Mayer, and that one car, the blue and white car, made the big block. That was just the fear of losing track position.
Riley Herbst is also doing some blocking in the 98, and as he went up to block that second line up top.
Oh, Taylor Gray thought about it. That black car, the number 19. He was late with the block. Now he's in the middle, no man's land. Look how much slower. Now he's still wide open. This speed distance or difference right here is purely no one in line with him. That's the difference between the drafts.
Ryan Sieg has thrown his name into the hat now in the 39. He's on the bottom, the second car on the bottom. And now two drivers coming together, probably thinking about side drafting. Sam Mayer in the 1 on the inside, and the 16 of Allmendinger leading on the outside with a push from the 98 of Herbst.
Well, we just saw the block that Sam Mayer was willing to put on Ryan Sieg, and that gave him the opportunity to take the lead of this race. That shows you how important it is.
Underway from Talladega, it's the second race of the playoffs for the Xfinity Series. Sam Mayer out in front here at the 2.66 mile Superspeedway. You're watching the United Rentals 250 from Talladega Superspeedway. Make sure to shift into high gear with your chance to win an all-access Daytona 500 experience. You can scan the QR code or visit NASCAR.com/racking up the wins now to enter. And things getting a little crazy up front as they're 3 wide for third, but it's Jesse Love who won this race earlier in the year. He is out front. Then you have A.J. Allmendinger. Ryan Sieg was up front. He got shuffled out, but now fighting back on that outside. He's on his own. We ride along with Sheldon Creed in the Toyota onboard. Looking over at Carson Quapple.
Sheldon Creed's in the middle of 3 wide. I'm curious to see if this middle is going to work. Right now, it seems to not have as much energy as the inside and the outside lane.
Sieg looking for some help. Sieg in the 39, that white hooded car, as he is heading into the Trioval. He's about to get some help from the 98 of Riley Herbst. We'll see if that will push him up here in contention for the lead. He's going to get by the 16 of Allmendinger, but with no help behind him, that might be as far as he goes.
He can side draft down the back straightaway. He can slow that inside line down, and here comes the help. All of these cars coming with a great deal of speed.
Riley Herbst in the 98, he got shuffled out. There's the 20, by the way, just left the bottom of your screen. Eric Almirola about to get lapped by this pack.
Yeah, he's over 2 seconds slower by himself. If the pack catches him 2 wide, it shouldn't be an issue. But if they're 3 wide when they catch him, you know, that 4 wide gets very, very narrow here at Talladega. Not a lot of room. You could pull it off, just not a lot of room for error. For Almirola, as long as another car doesn't go a lap down, he'll be awarded the free pass at the end of the stage. So he, you know, his risk of trying to jump on the front of this pack would probably be lower. I think he's going to take less risk with the big block, probably just allow him to draft past him and put him a lap down.
Yeah, there are several cars that are out there running by themselves. I don't know if the pack will catch them and lap them and then keep Eric Almirola from being the first car lap down. But this is crazy. This race, with the shortened distance, has created the intensity to go and have to go right now. And you're seeing drivers willing to do things that we haven't seen them willing to do early in these Xfinity races.
And we know that each position is a point. Well, at the end of stage 1, you can receive up to 10 points if you win the stage, and all the way down to 1 point if you finish 10th in that stage. And everyone's trying to collect points, especially those right now in the playoffs, because you've got to be above the top 4 in points if you don't want to be eliminated at the end of the race next week at the Roval.
And Jesse Love and A.J. Allmendinger are 2 of those guys, right? They're 2 guys that, you know, Love's 3 points to the good, Allmendinger's minus 13. So these points are really important. Dave.
Eric Almirola, after he gets past here and lapped, he's looking for guys to race with that aren't going to get lapped. He knows that the Gase cars, Joey Gase and Carson Ware, a ways behind here, are not slow enough to get lapped. He's going to try to link up with them after all the field goes by here.
Yeah, so for the 20, it's just hold your line on the bottom, on the yellow line. Even if you kind of get picked up by maybe the 1, I don't think you want to be in this pack. Don't get in a wreck. You know, you're not racing any of these guys for position. Just get through this first stage, kind of reset the race. Just a reminder, if you weren't here at the beginning, he had an infraction and inspection that required a pass-through penalty under green. So first lap of the race, he came down pit road, rolled pit road, and that's why he's off the pace and a lap down.
And when a caution comes out, if he is the highest scored lap down car, which right now he's the only lap down car that's on the track, you get your lap back. You get a free pass. So that is what he is hoping now, is that he's in that free pass position to be back on the lead lap after a caution.
So now coming to 10 to go in this stage. As a driver, there's something about that 10 to go, Steve, that tells me I've got to ramp my intensity up. I know this stage is coming to an end quickly. We've already seen a lot of aggressive driving, a lot of blocking. If that gets much more aggressive, it could get ugly.
You hear Austin Hill just working the throttle a little bit. That's purely to try to keep from getting into the back of the 16. Rather not touch the brake, you'd rather work the throttle a little bit. Pretty organized up front. Jesse Love doing a nice job leading. That car has a lot of speed because it stays a car length out. Some cars take runs easier than others, Rick, meaning when the car gets close to the back, it just kind of pushes you away instead of getting right to your rear bumper.
Jesse Love up front, and right now only 3 points above the cut line, so if he could get stage points here, that would be huge. Get ready, NXT is all new and live from St. Louis this Tuesday with a special appearance by WWE legend Randy Orton as he faces NXT's rising star Javon Evans in what could be a show-stealing match. Don't miss an all-new NXT. That's Tuesday at 8, 7 Central only on the CW. Jesse Love in that 2, still moving from row to row, holding on to the lead, but the guys behind him, those drivers have changed. We've got Justin Allgaier in the 7. He is coming up on the inside. Chandler Smith in the 81 on the outside, leading those 2 lines.
Justin Allgaier started 14. He's got himself up to 2nd. Watch this exchange right here. He goes to the top. Chandler Smith goes to the top to block. Immediately, Allgaier hangs the left and gets underneath him. And that was a really nice move. And now it's put the 7 car in position to potentially win this stage, and if not win it, at least get really good points.
And needs it as he is below the cut line, that playoff cut line we continue to talk about. Allgaier was 1 point below at the start of this race. Marty.
And Rick, that just shows the aggression Justin Allgaier is going to have today. They have lost 74 points in the last 2 races. Talking to Jim Pullman this morning, he said that is our only option to play the race today. We have to be very aggressive, trying to get stage wins and all the points we can. That move proved it.
That double yellow line cannot go below it to advance your position. That's the out of bounds here at Talladega.
That's a great point, Rick, as we count down the laps, Jesse Love is going to kind of use that out of bounds line like a defender would in basketball, right? Hold you to the baseline, don't allow you to pivot one direction. So if that red and white number 2, there he goes. He got up off the yellow line and that left room. The 7 sideways, but getting the push. The 2 now stuck in the middle.
Oh, that is the mistake. You cannot make it this racetrack. You cannot give them the bottom on corner exit.
Jesse Love drops all the way back, almost outside the top 10 now.
Can he recover? Coming to 3 to go. Those 2 cars have been very, very good, but running out of time.
Out in front, Chandler Smith, one of the playoff drivers, leading. You'll notice on the left on the scoring pylon, every playoff driver has a purple line underneath their name.
Matches the purple splitter, windshield banner, and spoiler that those same playoff cars have. A little easier to pick out in the pack.
Well, 4 wide in the back.
Things getting aggressive now as we're coming up on 2 laps remaining in stage 1.
Jesse Love's now leading that 3rd line.
Jesse Love trying to battle his way back up front after getting shuffled all the way back outside the top 10. Chandler Smith doing a great job leading this pack on the bottom.
That was a shocking mistake out of the youngster driving the 2 of Jesse Love, giving the 7 the bottom off the exit of turn 2.
And right now, Chandler Smith leading this race. Allgaier doesn't have enough help behind him to get the push to be able to get momentum to try to pass him. They're double file next to him, and when you're double file, you do not have the energy. It makes so much aero drag side by side that it's hard to gain position. It's hard to get forward momentum going.
Looking forward at that 16 of A.J. Allmendinger right in front of Austin Hill, and then Sheldon Creed in the 18 on the outside line.
See, there you go. That 3rd lane, that 3rd row, they're just sitting there side by side, so they cannot help. You see, car on the outside of Creed, he moved up the racetrack.
Riding along with Jeff Burton and the Golden Corral on board. Coming up on the final lap of stage 1. 1 to go.
All right, Creed's gotten to the outside of the 7 car of Allmendinger. Now, can he get a push? Can he get some help?
And it's going to be 3 wide currently for the 6th spot. That's Cole Custer in the 00 making the move on the outside.
Big run coming on the bottom, the 21 to the 16. He'll push the 7. Will the 7 go to the top? It looks like he will. He'll try to get to the right rear quarter panel of the 81.
Sheldon Creed a little loose in the 18. Now the 7 tries to side draft to 16. For the stage 1 win and a playoff point, The 81 of Chandler Smith. Now momentum coming behind him. Here comes A.J. Allmendinger. This is why this finish line right there is close. Chandler Smith, Allmendinger, Allgaier, Hill, and Creed the top 5. 7th stage win this season for Chandler Smith. And again, playoff drivers all looking fairly good. Shane Van Gisbergen, the furthest back of the playoff drivers, finishing 23rd. Stage 1 complete. We told you it's a fast one here at Talladega. CW Sports coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series is brought to you by United Rentals, official equipment rental partner of NASCAR. Credit One Bank, NASCAR American Express Card, and by Toyota. Let's go places. Here is the Mobil 1 leaderboard. After stage 1 is complete, Chandler Smith, Allmendinger, Allgaier, Hill, and Creed all top 5. Let's take a look at the stage points earned. Very big for drivers like Allgaier, who was below the line. Allmendinger also below that playoff cut line.
Yeah, so we talked about Jesse Love losing spots, and here he is, you know, battling for the lead. He gets his car off the bottom of the racetrack, and you're not going to give a guy like Justin Allgaier that look. He's going to take that spot, and he went from battling for the lead back to finishing 15th place. So that's a massive difference in the loss of stage points. Kim, you just cannot make that mistake.
Oh, and this was on Jesse's list. He told me 2 goals, make high-quality moves, and don't let people shuck me out because it seems to be a pattern at these tracks. Here was the feedback from the team.
Back to the bottom.
Got to react faster.
Repeat that.
He just needs to react faster to your commands.
Yeah, 10-4.
So you heard veteran crew chief Danny Stockman talk about Jesse needing to react faster to spotter Brandon Benesh's cues.
And the whole field about ready to head onto the progressive pit road, and they'll come to you first, Dave.
Austin Hill finished 4th, Rick, 7 stage points for him, but it was a struggle. He called the car out of control. Darty, I have no idea what the car is going to do. I cannot turn the steering wheel without trying to spin out. They're going to make a big adjustment here. He's already been told it's going to be a lengthy pit stop.
AJ Allmendinger, top right of your screen. Great points grab for him in this first stage. He said it's free, definitely free. Lots of rubber on the racetrack. He said it's hot and slick. 4 fresh Goodyear tires, no go fuel, Marty.
14th to 3rd for Justin Allgaier, who said, we're pretty quick, but I have to put a lot of wheel into it in the corners to get it to turn. Chandler Smith, meanwhile, with the stage win. He said out front, the car just, quote, feels draggy. How about the no tire stop call for the 2-team? Danny Stockman, Jesse Love re-inherits the lead.
Yeah, and that race off the progressive pit road, you see 14 spots for Love, a loss of 1 position for Chandler Smith, and Sheldon Creed's team grabs him 2 spots. CW Sports Saturday next week. First ACC football as Georgia Tech heads to Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina. Then off to the Charlotte Roval for an elimination race in the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs. CW Sports Saturday next week starting at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, only on the CW. Dave, what about Austin Hill in that first stage?
He was told it would be a lengthy pit stop, lost 4 positions there while they worked in the car, but listen to his radio before he came to the pits.
I am like literally out of control. Like, my hands are killing me because I'm gripping the steering wheel so tight. I have no idea what the race car is about to do.
They made a series of adjustments during that stop, and at the end of the stop, the crew, who normally does not lose any spots on pit road, was just a little bit frustrated, a little bit celebrating. They knew they had to give up time to try to make this car right. Get on out here, get back out there. Remember, guys, this is one of the fastest crews, the fastest crew in the NASCAR Xfinity Series all season.
Yeah, they have gained Austin Hill numerous spots throughout the season. And so when they have to make added adjustments and a little slower pit stop, obviously frustrating for them. But if it makes the car faster and more competitive, then in the end it's going to reap the benefits.
If there's ever a track you could give up 4 spots, this is the one. You have to have your driver in control. You don't want the car driving the driver.
And Steve, it's one of those racetracks where you can find a great deal of speed, but the sacrifice is drivability. And we talk about it. Normally drivability isn't that big of a deal here, but you can cross that edge where you're worried so much about just raw speed that the driver now doesn't have the control he wants. And without that, you cannot be aggressive. When a hole opens up, you can't just go in that hole and go make something happen because you're afraid you're going to wreck. And you know, you do take some speed away potentially and making the car drive better, but if that's the driver do what he needs to do, that's what you got to make happen.
Marty, is Chandler Smith and that 81 team, are they feeling good about the win of stage 1?
Yeah, I think they feel good about getting those stage points and the playoff point in the bank as well, Rick, for Chandler Smith and the 81 team. Before that last pit stop, he gave an update on the handling and also what's happening inside the car. Listen.
Super draggy. When people get close to pushing me, it throws a parachute out today. That and the throttle pedal's already burnt my foot.
So, Jeff, that last part is what I want to focus on. He said the throttle pedal has already burnt his foot, and we're only 30 laps into this race. There's 64 laps to go in this race, and he can't lift off the throttle here at Talladega. So if you ever had a situation like that where literally the throttle pedal is burning your foot.
Yes, and if it's going to happen anywhere, it will most likely be here because your foot's on it all the time. I actually, once I go through the gears like he's getting ready to do, and you have to come on and off the throttle, I would actually use my heel. Take my foot, the ball of my foot off of it, and just push with my heel.
Just a reminder, the free pass went to the 20 of Eric Almirola. He's back on the lead lap, and he will be in contention, I'm sure, when the end of this race happens. Stage 2 underway.
Much better start this time by the 2 of Jesse Love. Not sure what happened on the original start, but definitely accelerated, and the entire outside line more organized.
Got a little bit of a shove out of the 7 of Allgaier. He's now trying to get a little bit of help from behind him.
And already inside, 20 to go in this stage, 19 to go. We took the green, so I expect pretty intense racing.
Still tight in front. Still tight. Still tight.
Spotters working overtime here at Talladega. We see just in front of Austin Hill that 00 of Cole Custer. Jesse Love keeping that outside line in check. Now he goes down to the bottom of the racetrack. Gets in front of Chandler Smith.
We talked about Jesse Love giving up the bottom of the racetrack and losing the lead earlier. Well, maybe his car wouldn't let him do that. His teammate Austin Hill complained about the way his car drives.
Jesse Love in the 2. Got a win here earlier this year, right here at this racetrack. At 19 years old, he's the youngest of the playoff drivers in the field. He and Shane Van Gisbergen competing in their first playoffs.
See that 18 car and the 81 car, they're Joe Gibbs Racing teammates, but currently they just are not close enough. The 18 car of Creed just can't close the gap, and that prevents the 81 car from launching forward. Now they're starting to get a little more formed up.
And you say that, and behind them they go 4 wide. 33 degrees of banking here at Talladega Superspeedway. That's why they're able to hold it wide open as they work around this behemoth of a racetrack.
Those guys in the outside lane, they're wanting that outside lane to just be superior. You can see several people have jumped up in it, afraid that they might go single file. I just don't see that happening with these short stages. Only 16 to go in this one.
Parker Kligerman in the 48. We see him dropping back, that orange and white, number 48. Brandon Jones in the fluorescent yellow, number 9, has pushed him forward again, but he's stuck right there in the middle. Let's listen in to the 7 spotter, and that would be Eddie DeHaan.
6 are clear up top. Then there's 3 wide behind them. A big mess behind them. Stay right where you are here.
Jeff, how important do you feel spotters are here at Talladega?
It's vital. You know, they're your eyes for things that you can't see. You can't see what's happening behind you, where the runs are being developed, where you may need to block, and you can see the information that they needed as the outside lane is the lane right now that is the favorite. You can see this 81 and 18 cars. They were up at the front a few laps ago, and everybody piled up on them, got on the outside of them, and they are going to the back.
16 of Allmendinger. Take a look here.
Yeah, so he was in that bottom lane, trying to make it 3 wide, go to the middle, and just wasn't room.
And he starts to fall back. Now A.J. Allmendinger running 15th. Up front, Jesse Love continues to lead. He's led 19 laps already here at Talladega. Out in front, Jesse Love continuing to lead. Right behind him, Justin Allgaier in the 7. And then you've got Austin Hill. So RCR running first and third right now. And great success on these super speedway type tracks. We'll see if Jesse Love learned from stage 1 the mistake of getting off of the double yellow line.
I think there's some real momentum being built on this outside lane right now. AJ Allmendinger a few laps ago made a bold move to get to the top and lead this outside lane. He needs to get to the right rear quarter panel of that 7 car. Doesn't get there that lap or that corner.
And the pack dives into turn number 1. Jesse Love out in front. Let's bring in from the Peacock pit box, 2-time Cup Series winner here and Hall of Fame driver Dale Jarrett. All right, how about these spotters and the work they're putting in today?
Well, it is hard work for those guys up there, but you know, when they get down the backstretch and stuff, they're a long way away, and I think some of these drivers are utilizing that a little too much. Steve brought up a while ago with Jesse Love that maybe he was late reacting. Well, if you're listening to the spotter, as he pointed out, then you are late. You've got to drive these cars yourself and learn. That's what I see now. We have a crash over in 3.
Nick Lights in the 92 goes around and looks as though he collects a couple cars, one of those being the 27 of Jeff Burton.
That was a chain reaction wreck. That wreck started in the first 2 or 3 rows. Jesse Love made a block, got to the outside, that checked everybody up, and then these guys played the price. So see right here, the 16, the 2 had moved up. The 16 catches him quickly, contact, there, and all the way back is where the wreck happens.
It's no different than the interstate. Somebody brake checks. The first 2 or 3 cars might catch it, but by it gets to the 5th, 6th car, you see the 92 just has no idea they're going to come back to him that quickly. And then he goes up. Pretty big damage on the 48 of Parker Kligerman, a playoff car that needed a good run. We'll have to see just how damaged it is. Let's go on board with Jeff Burton. That quickly.
That accordion effect.
And it's been that kind of year. So here you go. Jesse Love does nothing wrong. I want to be clear. He goes up to block this outside lane, but the rate at which they're gaining on him, contact right there. The 00 gets into 16, and now they all start checking up. Steve, you said it. It's just like a wreck on the interstate. Set 3 times as fast.
A wreck at 180 plus miles an hour here at Talladega, and this time only 3 cars caught up. Nick Lights in the 92 around. Parker Kligerman caught up in there as well as Jeb Burton. CW Sports coverage of the NASCAR Xfinity Series is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Progressive. Save when you bundle motorcycle, RV, and boat insurance. Visit progressive.com. And by United Rentals, official equipment rental partner of NASCAR. Caution comes out for a 3-car spin and really scored a little bit further back than what we would expect. Riley Herbst back in 22nd. Something wrong with that car, Marty?
Well, Rick, they actually decided to flip the stage at this caution, meaning they're going to pit now. They pitted just a moment ago. They were running 14th. They will not pit. They cannot make it to the end of the race because they're going to be a little bit short on fuel unless there's a lot of caution. Riley, in fact, asked his crew chief, Davin Restivo, did you not want stage points there? He said, we were 14th. I don't think, as the way the day has gone, we could have gotten stage points. So I thought, why not flip it here? Maybe, who knows, with enough caution, we could make it to the end of the race without stopping, Dave.
Marty Parker Kligerman also decided to bring his car to pit road. After the incident, he said nose damage. They brought it down, and it was just minor on the right front. They had to take some time to fix it now. So the car was very loose at the start of the race. He was frustrated with the way it handled to try to work his way to the front, and we could see him getting shuffled back there before this accident. Now he's got to work with a damaged race car. But folks, if you haven't watched a race at a super speedway before, sometimes a damaged race car makes it to victory lane. So we'll see what happens.
A few dents and wrinkled fenders on that 48. Looking for a cable news network which respects all Americans? Then you have a new home with News Nation. See why News Nation is America's fastest growing cable news network. To find News Nation on your screen, go to joinnn.com. Getting ready for the restart, and stage 2 about complete as we have under 5 laps to go now. It'll be 4 to go, I believe, when they come back around for the green flag.
And Jeff, I think this is a great dress rehearsal for the end of the race, right? We're going to see the restart with 4 to go. We see so many short sprints to the finish here at Talladega that if you're the 7 of Allgaier, the 21 of Hill, the 2 of Love, Custer, Allmendinger, all of these cars at the front, you know, racing to the finish with 15 to go just has a different feel to it than when you come off a restart, because it takes, what, a lap and a half, 2 laps for everybody to really be at full speed. The runs are different. The accelerations are different. So this is very good dress rehearsal for perhaps later.
Yeah, it's a great deal. It's a great point, Steve, and you can learn a lot. Right here we have the RCR teammates lined up, the 21 and the 2. They're lined up together. And some new players at the front because some guys pit, some guys didn't. So back there in 10th, 11th, 12th, a few new players.
And Kim, what about the 2 of Jesse Love? He's led 24 laps already today.
Yeah, we heard earlier his crew chief Danny Stockman want his reaction time to the spotter to be better. Here was Jesse's final response.
Brandon, like that's about as fast as right now. Like I'm able to react with just takes a second for the car to point and do things. I can't quite move around like as fast as I would probably be able, like in Atlanta or something.
And he followed up that he doesn't have the front end compliance that he needs to have quicker reactions. So Steve, do you feel like this does fall on what the car's doing, or is it some driver awareness they need?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, Kim. I think the truth is the driver itself, as DJ mentioned, you can't really be waiting for the spotter. The great ones out there are proactive. They feel the run's coming. But the youngster Jesse Love, as he's trying to learn, you have to give him a car that he has confidence to tug the wheel left and right. What I hear, Jeff, is I turn left, but I do it a little cautiously because the car isn't doing exactly what I want, and I'm afraid I'll create a bigger issue.
Yeah, he just does not trust it.
It's a sprint to the end of the stage. It'll be just over 10 miles, 4 laps. As we get ready to get the green flag back out. Allgaier on the inside, Austin Hill on the outside as they race into turn 1.
Now that NASCAR will allow the drivers to push each other till the exit of turn 2. Then you can hit each other, but you can no longer lock rear bumpers. They allow you to do it to the exit of 2.
I don't think anybody's surprised to see Anthony Alfredo on the 5 up front here. He always runs well on super speedways. 20 of Eric Almirola inside the top 10. He's running 8th.
2 in the 21, putting NASCAR in a tough position, trying to decide how long they were connected.
See Cole Custer back there in that white car in the middle. Right now, I don't think the middle's where you want to be. Nobody going with him. Here comes Brandon Jones to try to help him. Nope, back to the outside.
He doesn't want to get out of line either. Now it's 3 wide for third.
Don't look now, but you mentioned the 3 wide. The third car in the middle, the black car with the 20. Eric Almirola, a lap down at the end of stage 1, in position to have a chance to win stage 2.
And that car on the inside got shuffled out completely there. And so now A.J. Allmendinger starts to push the 7. Some bump drafting happening there. Big run by the 98 of Riley Herbst. He has to check up, though.
Oh, the intensity's picked up here.
Coming up on 2 laps remaining in this stage.
And you wonder, as you see Riley Herbst all the way back to 5th, who was just on pit road, if those newer tires are allowing him to be aggressive with the wheel. We're hearing a lot of drivers talk about not being able to make moves.
Austin Hill, a big move to the inside of Allgaier. He's going to try to take the lead. He does.
Now Allgaier's going to cross him back over. Got back underneath him. Who has the most help?
Jesse Love trying to jockey for position now in that red number 2. 3 wide for the lead. Coming up on the final lap now, a big shove from the 98 of Riley Herbst. Will that get Jesse Love out in front?
And Allgaier all the way on the bottom by himself.
Chandler Smith in the 81 pushing the 21 as they come up on this will be the final lap of stage 2. Hill drops to the bottom of the racetrack. He's got Jesse Love, his teammate from RCR, now behind him.
Upper lane a little bit broken up, organized on the bottom. They'll have a run down the backstretch, but will the top come back? Here it comes. The 8 to the top of the racetrack, the 97 of SVG to follow.
Haven't seen a lot of Sammy Smith, but he's in the 8 now, challenging for the lead on the high side.
Is there enough energy to help that 8 car, though, coming to the start-finish line?
The Giz in 97 falling back now, but has worked his way up into the top 5, side by side for the lead. A little push from the 2. The 21 of Austin Hill now with momentum. And Austin Hill is going to win stage 2. 3 wide as they cross the stripe behind him.
That was fun for us. It was fun for them.
4-stage win already for Austin Hill from Talladega. He's got the most stage wins here. It was the crossover move that got him up front. But then he was crossed back over, and a lot of commotion taking place to end stage 2. But in the end, it was Austin Hill who is up front and earns 10 stage points and another playoff point as he is trying for a championship. stages complete in the United Rentals 250 from Talladega Superspeedway, the second race of the playoffs for the Xfinity Series. And let's look at the Mobil 1 leaderboard through 2 stages. Austin Hill getting his 4th stage win here at Talladega. And as we look at the stage points earned today, Hill was 17, Chandler Smith 16, Allmendinger 13. That's big. Allmendinger came in 13 points below the cut line, and so those stage points helping out quite a bit. All right, Dale Jarrett, we saw a crazy finish to the end of stage 2. Is that foreshadowing for what we're going to see at the end of this race?
Yeah, 100%. Just wanted to keep the fans in tune as to what they're getting ready to see here in stage 3. I think there's 2 things that stand out. Jesse Love, Justin Allgaier, thinking about the points that they gave away while they were up front leading the race with just a couple of laps to go in stage 1 and 2, and how much could that cost them there. But as I see this, the Chevrolets look really fast. The biggest takeaway that I had there, though, tires are going to matter. We saw the handling. It brought cars into play there at the end. We had not seen up front all day, and I look for more of that as we go through into stage 3 here.
I have to agree with DJ. I don't think I want to pit on a green-white checker, but if I got 5, 6, 7, 8 laps, I just think tires will matter.
All right, once again, the field about to come on to Progressive Pit Road, and we'll start with you, Dave.
Rick, stage winner Austin Hill's car is still a handful, but it was much better out front. So part of the question here is, you take 4 tires, or do you just take 2 to save time and get your driver back out front? We'll see what the 21 crew does, Kim.
Top right, Sammy Smith, he said the balance is good, just a little snug on exit. The call, right side tires only. We'll see if they stick with that. Bottom left, Jesse Love. He was reporting really sketchy off the turns, but he can be aggressive because he was tight at the end of the run, so ask for no changes for fresh Goodyear tires, Marty.
Kim, you saw just a moment ago for Chandler Smith, earned the 2nd most points today, and in about a half lap, he went from 1st to 7th to 5th on that last lap here in stage 2. Riley Herbst, Brandon Jones, fuel only. Also same for Carson Kvapil here on pit road. They win the race off pit road, Rick.
And we see that race off Progressive Pit Road. And apparently the top 3 were not listening to Dale Jarrett because they didn't worry about tires, but maybe that track position will pay off. getting ready for the start of the final stage in the United Rentals 250 Talladega Superspeedway. And I want to take a look at the Mobil 1 leaderboard as we get ready for the restart. Riley Herbst up front. Brandon Jones, Carson Quapple, Chandler Smith, and Taylor Gray all a part of the top 5 as we get ready for the choose. So many of you have been watching the news and seeing the devastation in Western North Carolina as well as Eastern Tennessee. Greg Biffle has been giving some amazing shots from his helicopter where he's been going back and forth with supplies and helping those stranded try to evacuate the area. There's just so much devastation and so much help needed. Entire towns have been completely wiped out. And if you'd like to help, we would love for you to go to redcross.org, or you can text Helene to 90999. So much is needed. And we've seen from the different tracks, Charlotte, we've seen it at North Wilkesboro. We've seen right here at Talladega, collecting items for those that have been affected. And so many people are thankful for all that people have given.
It's been incredibly good. It feels great to see so many people step up to try to help those in need. And we all live in the Charlotte area. We're seeing the giving of their time, of the energy. Around the country, people are giving gifts of all different types, but around our area, the coordination between church groups and NGOs and just volunteers has been incredible. And it's just, you know, when our country gets in trouble, we always find a way to step up, and it's great to see that happening again.
Yeah, anyone who I've spoken to has been there in person just says the pictures don't even do it justice to what it is. And it's such a beautiful area of the country. A lot of us spend time up in the mountains, and it's such a rugged area. Like, there's a lot of towns that, you know, the access is somewhat limited in the best conditions. So I can't even imagine what those towns and those residents are going through in this situation. We just wish them all the best. It's going to be a long road to recovery.
And one thing that pulls a lot of us together is sports. And we're getting ready for the restart. It will be the beginning of stage 3, the final stage. Brandon Jones in the 9 on the inside, and that yellow number 9. Riley Herbst in the 98 on the outside. Back up through the gears they go. Austin Hill mired back here in 11th. The fight for the lead continues. No help for Brandon Jones on the inside as far as staying up front. He drops back. Riley Herbst has the lead. We'll see if he starts to move down to that lower line to block. Chandler Smith behind him, giving him a shove.
So many times here, Jeff, with 38 to go, I've seen teams kind of relax and settle in and think they want to just kind of check off the next 20 laps. But if you don't fight for track position now, you may never get a chance. You can fall back to 15th or 20th. Those leaders are not going to give up track position in the closing laps.
Yeah, that's right. And you can see some of these guys toward the back of this front pack. The 7 car of Allgaier jumps out to me. He made it 3 wide on the bottom all by himself, trying to get that track position back.
The front leaders, the top 3, keep trying to take it all the way to the top, to the 3rd lane, and get this thing organized. Try to protect. Jesse Love, not so fast. He said that red-nosed number 2 turns to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, he saw that inside line being led by Brandon Jones. He wanted to be the leader of that inside line. Right now, the outside line is going to go by him, right? But here comes the 9 car. Here comes the help. Will this work out for Jesse Love? 9 cars hooked up to him now. The 8 car could have gone with the 9. His teammate decided not to.
Shuffles Brandon Jones through the middle And now he will fall toward the back. As we take a look at the Toyota driver update, Chandler Smith running second on that high line. Taylor Gray is third, Sheldon Creed fourth, all taking advantage of that momentum up top.
Brandon Jones jumps in line up top, and I am sure he has some words for his teammate like, buddy, you just cost me 20 spots with 36 to go. You could have just pushed me.
Trust no one.
That's right. You know what? That's the best rate. The best restricted plate drivers trust no one. I work with Jeff Gordon and Dale Jr., and they didn't pretend that they were out there to help their teammates. They were very vocal that they were going to do whatever they needed to do, as Jesse Love, wow, that's an invasive move to the bottom line.
Aggressively coming back to try to block that lower line. And we heard earlier Jesse Love said, I need more time to get the nose pointed on the car. Well, that time he took a hard left to get to the bottom of the racetrack.
But even that move, Rick, was late. Like, that move could have happened 500, 600 feet early. Now, it's easy to say from the booth, but I'm just comparing him to, say, Austin Hill or some of these other drivers. Now, he's a very young driver and has a ton of talent. As this becomes more comfortable and more second nature, it's going to be even more impressive.
And we talked about that move of that 8 car of Sammy Smith hanging out his teammate, but look what it did for him. He now is sitting here in second place. So, yes, I mean, you can be mad if you're Brandon Jones, but it worked out for him. If you're Brandon back in that situation again, you put your teammate behind you in a situation. You have to be willing to block him. You cannot let him do that. You cannot trust him, Marty.
Riley Herbst trying to get the lead back, Jeff, and trying to get that middle lane to work. So, Jeff, when I talked to Riley about how he is studying super speedway racing, he said he watches this angle, the overhead angle from either the helicopter or the blimp. He doesn't watch onboard cameras. He said, I learned so much more having this big view of the racetrack. So as a driver, Jeff, what are you learning when you're watching this big view and not on board with another car?
What you've got to do is, if you're leading the race right now, you can see the bottom lane making a move underneath Jesse Love, but you have to understand how runs happen. Where are they going to come from? How does it build energy? How does it get forward momentum? And if you know that, you can create it, but you also can defend against it. And this is the view, this top view, that you can see that happen.
The top two have separated themselves from the pack, and here comes the pack now. Riley Herbst goes to the back bumper of the 2. The 20 of Eric Almirola has not been able to get to that back bumper of the 8 of Sammy Smith yet.
Big aggressive push right here from the 98 to the 2. And it's pushing the 2 out for the lead.
Oh, a car pops out of line. I was trying to see. It's a white car, blue roof, 21 of Austin Hill, I believe. Yeah, there you go. Austin Hill, he is driving with that urgency, knowing he needs to be in the front 3 or 4 to win this race.
And interestingly enough, Sheldon Creed is behind him in the 18. I say that because they used to be teammates, and they did not see eye to eye on the racetrack many times over. And now Sheldon Creed is behind Austin Hill.
And SVG in that first car in the middle pack, he's like, all right, I'm doing good. I got a good opportunity here. I'm in the leading this line. And a lot of the guys he thought were going to be in front of him in the middle jumped to the top.
And this is why drivers get frustrated, because now we're 3 wide. This is rush hour traffic. I mean, where are you going to go when every lane is taken? Sheldon Creed, would be an exhausting look all day long, just right in the rear bumper of the car in front of you.
And look what he can't see.
Yeah, anything else?
He has no idea what's going on directly in front of him. He can see the car that he's pushing, but he can't see what's going on in front of him. And that's where the spotter is so valuable. He needs to be telling the driver what is happening in the parts of the racetrack that he can't see.
And just like that, the 8 gets hung out, and the 9's back side by side with his teammate.
And SVG tucks in behind the 8. Up front, Jesse Love looking to go sweep here at Talladega. Coming up next, it's off to Corvallis as Colorado State looks to pull off the upset against high-flying Oregon State. It's coming up next right here on the CW. I want to take a look at the Xfinity fastest lap, and right now it's Ryan Sieg. He did it on lap 33. Turned a lap averaging over 191 miles an hour. We mentioned it 3 times the speed that you'd be going on the interstate. And it looks like interstate traffic right here. 3 wide all the way from the front to the back.
Just a few laps ago, we questioned how this middle lane was going to work, in particular around SVG and that 97 car. Well, he's done a great job of pushing and shoving, and that middle lane's been pretty impressive.
And this is where the chaos gets the highest, when it's a swarm. 25 cars in the lead pack, 3 wide. There's space at times and no space at times. And if a car gets out of shape with no room to save it, that's where the big wreck can happen.
And the other thing that's happened is the aggressiveness of the side drafts. It's going through the roof. When the car is underneath you or beside you, if you can get right against them, door to door, put your quarter panel on their fender, whatever it takes, you can slow them down. Slow that line down in an effort to speed yours up, and that has picked up also.
Semi Smith in the 8 in the middle lane, leading that middle lane. And then it's Chandler Smith. No relation between those 2 drivers. Chandler Smith in the 81 on the outside, and Riley Herbst on that inside line.
This is where, as a driver, you start to get frustrated, because if you're in this 3rd row, 4th row, and it's 3 wide, what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? And so what you try to do is you try to push your lane to try to propel it past the other ones, because there's nowhere to go left or right.
A name not mentioned today, Carson Qualpel, about the 4th car in the middle there. That light blue and white 88 announced this week, full-time next year at Junior Motorsports, doing a great job behind the wheel and getting some very valuable experience.
Saw Jesse Love duck behind the 81. Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith's been getting big runs and getting way out in front. As you saw the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger pushing the 2, but then leaves him out.
That was a great move. Looked left, and as soon as the 2 defended it, he went high.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was very aggressive. Really good move. You see what all that energy has done. It's taken some of that from the middle lane. Let's see if it can get built back up. Allmendinger all day, he's been willing to push the issue. No surprise, that's who he is. Had a lot of success in this sport by being that.
Had success here at Talladega as well. It's Chandler Smith once again in the 81 that's deciding which line he wants to run in. Watching his mirror, listening to his spotter, and moving accordingly. That high line, 2, 3, 4 car advantage right now over the low line and middle. And moving out of line is the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger. So now he's tired of pushing. He wants to be pushed. Jesse Love to his back bumper. Allmendinger fighting for the lead here at Talladega. Chandler Smith, A.J. Allmendinger running 1-2, and look out, here comes the 21 of Austin Hill. Shift into high gear with your chance to win an all-access Daytona 500 experience. Scan the QR code or visit NASCAR.com, and we've got a crash on the track. The 97 of Shane Van Gisbergen is involved, as well as the 19, Taylor Gray. Big damage to the front of this car coming at us.
Roll here.
The 11 of Josh Williams looks like he has been caught up also.
Yeah, you could feel this wreck coming, and a lot of drivers, the intensity picking up. Only 19 laps to go.
There's Josh Williams. We see the 19 rolling.
Oh man,
big damage for Austin Hill.
I mean, I know whose fault it was that even got us back there, but I'm not going to say it on the radio.
Oh boy.
Well, this is big damage because you're looking at this damage on the left side, but it's a lot of damage on the right side as well. All right, well, here we are. Well, this starts really early and happens later, so let's watch it develop. Watch the 97 car in the middle, contact right there. And again, just a bottle jam. He's on the bottom of the racetrack, 26 trying to slow down, 32 gets in the back of him. Very similar to the wreck we saw before. It just, you know, you're behind all of it. So watch what happens with the 97. Keep your eyes just on him, the 26 behind him of Dean Thompson. So he moves up the racetrack. Dean tries to get underneath him, contact, puts SVG on the bottom. I think Dean Thompson's afraid that SVG is going to come back in front of him. He's starting to check up a little bit, and the guy behind him wasn't.
That's what I think is the big cause of this. As we ride on board with the 21 and see where he gets caught up in this, you're going to see, oh, some big hits. Jeff, your point about the 26, because the 97 has enough grip. He can run the tri-oval on the apron without a problem and blend on the other side of the tri-oval. But it's the 26, the blue-nosed car right there. You see his nose. He's like either off the gas or on the brakes, and finally gets spit out of line by the car behind him, because I think the cars behind him are thinking, we're just going to leave the 97 stuck down there. Dean Thompson, not a lot of experience. He's thinking he has to leave a hole for the 97 to come back up, and the 32 just continues to push and push until finally the 26 goes around.
And that's the worst part of the racetrack. Like that part of the racetrack, there's not much banking, and when you're being pushed through that tri-oval, it is very easy to get spun around, especially on the bottom of the racetrack. There's very little grip down there.
Some big hits right there.
I've seen that picture way too many times in my life. And that's what we talk about. That's what every driver's afraid of here. Watch the 21 on the outside. He's nowhere near this wreck, having nothing to do with it. Minding his own business. Boom, there he is, gets caught up in it.
Yeah, Taylor Gray gets shot up the racetrack into that 21.
And fortunately for the 97, there were cars over there, because that was going to be...
That could have been huge.
I mean, it was already a big hit, but going all the way into the wall at that angle.
So the big one happens here at Talladega, right in the tri-oval, middle of the pack. We'll have a restart when we return. Pit road is open, and we're not seeing a lot of takers yet. Possibly a few coming down. Parker Kligerman, who's had damage already, and the 2 of Jesse Love also on pit road, Kim.
Yeah, Jesse Love making a stop. He just asked to be freed up a little bit on exit. They will take a little bit of fuel too. They wanted some insurance for the end of the race. As you see, fresh tires going on the right side as well.
16 laps remaining. A lot of damage to the 21 of Austin Hill. Best finish 14th here. Doesn't look like he's going to improve upon that today.
Well, there's possible more wrecking coming. So if they can keep this car rolling, there's an opportunity to pick up some spots.
I like what they're doing here, which is taking their time when it sits on pit road. The damaged vehicle clock, which is what expires and takes you out of the race, it is from yellow line to yellow line. So anytime you're on pit road, so if you keep trying to stay on the lead lap, you keep burning time. I think for the 21, it's all about trying to stay in the race more than it is on the lead lap.
We got 3 minutes here, guys.
You heard 3 minutes right there in the radio.
Steve rolling around, he had smoke in the cockpit, a lot of things dragging there. They said that was from the splitter. So basically trying to get that splitter off the front, off the ground in front.
So let's watch this again. Watch the 26 car, the black car, Dean Thompson on the bottom of the racetrack. So they all get kind of stacked up right here. Dean tries to go to the bottom. SVG trying to block it, makes contact. Watch what the pushing from Jordan Anderson, but right now, the 26 car, he's starting to spin, but just prior to that, he has his left side tires on one side of that seam and the right side tires on the other. On the left side of that seam, there is less banking in the travel. The right side has more. As he's getting pushed, that's the worst possible situation for him. Look at his left side tires. So all is okay right here. Everything's going to work out, but right there he starts to get pushed, and he is splitting that seam. Left side's less banking than the right side's. That is the worst the car will drive all day. Taking a push there is never a good thing.
And then that shoots the 97 up the racetrack. Steve, as you mentioned, a couple cars up there, luckily. Otherwise, SVG would have taken a head-on collision with that outside wall. Kim, how about the 26?
Yeah, and Dean Thompson adding on the radio that he had to check up and then he was spun, kind of explaining that accident.
We've talked about the fact that there are 15 drivers that are in this field that are not full-time racers in the Xfinity Series. And Dean Thompson, this is just his second starts of the year.
Yeah, and look, how many wrecks have we seen at Daytona and Talladega? Those kind of wrecks happen with some of the best in the business.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a challenging situation racing here.
Jordan Anderson.
All right, DJ, this one happened right, well, you're facing the other direction, but it happened in front of you. Let's get your perspective as we have just 15 laps remaining.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things, guys, and you've alluded to a lot of it, but you know, you're getting down to the end. Everybody's trying to move forward, get themselves in position to make the move that they want to, that can give them a better chance at getting a top 5 or maybe even a win out of this. And then you're also racing with drivers that you're not accustomed to racing with. And I think that makes things more difficult. And then we see things like this happen. So you hate to see that, but it's something that we certainly had to expect. And I think you'll probably agree with me. Not the last caution that we're going to see.
Yeah.
A noble prediction there.
Yes, I like to go out on a limb, you know.
Uh-huh.
Well, DJ, the most tense time for a driver, for me, was always here and at Daytona, these late race restarts, because you know how aggressive it's going to become, and you're going to have to do things you don't necessarily want to if you want to win.
Yeah, you are going to do that. And, you know, the rule that we talk about here, that they can only lock bumpers for so long, but you're able to go up and run into the back of somebody and push them forward. Those pushes are going to get harder, and that only gets that car in front that's receiving that bump out of control a little bit more. So I think that's going to create some of the issues that we're going to see here too, because they realize the laps are winding down. We've got to get ourselves going forward more, and everything that we need to do is ramped up.
Getting ready for the choose. It will be 13 laps remaining when we see the green flag, as they're choosing either the inside or outside line right now. We saw the 97 of Shane Van Gisbergen and his car in the garage area. It's parked now, so he's done for the day. And as he runs the points now, he is 20 points below the cut line with the Roval next week. Really kind of a must-win situation for him.
Well, and the 21 of Austin Hill is still in the lead lap. We saw him leaving pit road pretty damaged. If he can meet minimum speed, he'll be off the DVP. If we continue to get those wrecks that DJ talked about, that I think we will get, then the 21 can gain some points. And for the 97, I don't know if 20 points is a must-win for a guy that could go win both stages. He can make 20 points up in just the stages. So I think drivers instantly throw this must-win around way too soon. I think until you get 30 or 35 points out now, at the end of this could change completely in the next 15 laps.
Marty.
Rick, we've talked about how the gas pedal is literally burning the right foot of Chandler Smith, who sits in 5th, and that situation has not gotten any better. Listen to the radio.
I lost steering out of my left earbud, so all I can hear is my right one. I have a good idea of what y'all say when I'm racing, but it ain't extremely clear. But I'm watching around too, so.
So what he actually said before that was, my left foot and my right foot has gone completely numb inside the car. He's going to have to be able to tough it out here for the final 14 laps.
14. It'll be 13 when they come back around for the restart. But an uncomfortable situation, obviously, for Chandler Smith behind the wheel of the 81. He's going to be restarting inside the top 5.
Well, 13 to go. We take the green. It's going to be very interesting to see how these teams work. I will tell you, on the last 2 restarts, that locking bumper rule we talk about, I think, has been in question. These guys continue to do it longer and longer and longer.
Push and push and push. It's 13 to go. Green flag back in the air. A.J. Allmendinger on the inside. And that inside line surging ahead.
The 20's got some left front damage. A little bit of smoke coming from that left front.
That inside line really dropped off dramatically after A.J. Allmendinger moved up the racetrack. And a big block attempted there, but Sammy Smith was able to clear the 81 of Chandler Smith. A very close call for him. And now Riley Herbst to the outside of A.J. Allmendinger. Yeah, issues for the 20 of Almirola.
He thinks he's blowing up, guys.
Well, it looks to me it's like a left front tire. We saw the tire rub. It had rubbed and rubbed and rubbed. Now the left front's flat on the ground and dragging.
Question is, will he make it back to pit road?
He went to the apron, and the sparks are flying from underneath. Almirola won a week ago.
Well, and will the tire and the debris, you know, the tire's not turning. You see the fender finally failed and blew in. It's on the flat tire, everything dragging. So back to racing up top, side by side, between the 16 and the 98.
Herbst on that outside, Allmendinger on the inside. Those two almost trading paint there as it came out of turn 4. The 20 looks like he's going to make it back to pit road, so not going to bring out a caution as long as no debris comes off the car. Herbst out in front, and the caution now comes out.
Caution debris, lane off the
debris.
Backstretch, lane off the bottom.
Lane off the bottom on the backstretch, which is where they're headed right now. We're seeing cars go down that direction, but this means another restart.
Yeah, we saw the 20 car, you know, with tire smoke. As soon as they dropped the green flag on that restart, and here's all the debris coming off the race car.
They'll take a jet dryer out there, blow all that debris back into the infield. There it is. It'll be under 10 laps to go. Yeah, maybe some of the cars are going to remove that debris from the track. When we see the restart here at Talladega, Riley Herbst up front. Braden Fowler-Nicolosi is warming up because that's coming up next on the CW. Kickoff scheduled for 6:45 Eastern. Again, Colorado State versus Oregon State. And after the last caution coming out for debris on the racetrack, we will have another restart. Before we get to that, let's go to Dave.
The one before that involved the ever-learning, ever-evolving Shane Van Gisbergen. On the Superspeedway today, what'd you learn before all that?
Yes, we were pretty loose, so it was pretty tough. WeatherTech Camaro was fast, though. We got some good stage points, stage 2, and was running, up front for that most of that last one. But yeah, just got pushed out of line, put myself in a bad spot, and I thought I saved it, and then there must have been some other stuff happening, and got caught up in it, so that sucked.
And we didn't see this now as a must-win next week at the Roval, but how do you look at it?
I don't know. I don't know what the points are. We'll see how far in a hole we are, but yeah, just got to prepare well, turn up with a fast car next week and get as many points as we can and hopefully get through okay.
I want to ask you to do the math here, but you're down 22 to the cut line. I know you've studied this a lot and said just how chaotic it is. What's it going to be like next week for you?
Well, tracks like this are different to tracks next week, so hopefully we can have a smooth day, get some stage points and be there at the end. But yeah, I really wanted to do well today, so gutted for the Kaulig Racing guys.
All right, Shane walked out under his own power. We'll see him next week at his specialty at a street course or an oval, or Rick, you call it both. It's a Roval.
It is the Roval, an SVG from New Zealand. Already in the playoffs here in the Xfinity Series. He'll be moving to the Cup Series next year.
Yeah, the Roval next Saturday, 3:30 on CW. It is a different racetrack. They've changed portions of the racetrack. Turn 6 now is a super fast uphill blind right-hand corner, and it leads to basically a 180-degree corner back into what is NASCAR track turn 1. That is completely different than what it has been in the past. And on top of that, the front straightaway chicane, it's been changed. So it's back to the Roval, but it's going to be a different Roval. And that 6-7 complex is going to be a challenge.
All right, Marty, how about the crew chief for the 98? How's he feeling?
Let's see how the nerves are in the 98 camp. Davin Restivo, you and I were talking to Riley about how hard he's worked on this Super Speedway program. What does he need to do to finally finish one off and get the win?
I think we're going to need some friends. Right now, we haven't had friends a whole lot all day. They keep shipping us out, but done a good job managing his gaps. That's going to be the most important thing right here at the end, is managing that gap and make sure we keep that push.
So I know putting a lot of effort into a certain discipline, you always want to see the reward. What have you seen him do right today?
He's done a lot of stuff right, taking the runs when he should take the runs and pushing when he should push. And I mean, obviously there at the end of stage 2, we weren't going to get stage points, and he did a really heck of a job to get up there and get stage points. That's what we need to do.
All right, so we'll see if he can finish it off. By the way, his dad, Troy, right behind Davin right here, who raced off-road for years. And I turned to Troy a second ago, Rick, and I said, this is nothing like what you did. And your racing career, racing in the desert, is nothing like Talladega.
But he has all smiles there. And right now, running in the second spot is Sammy Smith. DJ, what are you thinking about Sammy Smith on the outside of row 1?
I'm thinking about how that could upset the playoff picture if we do it. This is the guy that came in the last spot in 12th right now, and looking, he was 23 down to begin this, and he's got an opportunity to do something he hasn't done. Win at one of these racetracks like Talladega and Daytona in drafting. Has he learned enough? He obviously has shown his car's really been good here over the last probably 30 laps of this race. Does he have what it takes to make this happen? But he's got 4 other playoff drivers right there with him that all know that this could move them forward too in the playoffs.
Sammy Smith, a lot riding on this race and these playoffs. If he can advance out of this round, he's got a great shot at the championship, because once he gets to Phoenix, that's a racetrack he's won at before. So if he can advance out of this round, which we just heard DJ say coming into this race, he was 12th out of the 12 drivers. And again, only the top 8 will advance from this round after the Roval next week. All right, it'll be 7 laps remaining. Riley Herbst on the inside, Sammy Smith on the outside, Allgaier on the outside giving a shove to Sammy Smith, and AJ Allmendinger on the inside giving a shove to Riley Herbst. Little advantage goes to the inside early as they go into turn 1. Riley Herbst getting pushed from the 16 and the 81 and the 1 of Sam Mayer also. All together as they go down the backstretch now. The 16 of AJ Allmendinger to the inside of Herbst.
He goes to the inside, but Chandler Smith jumped to the outside. Nobody behind the 16 car, no help whatsoever.
I love that move for Chandler Smith. He knows second is his best chance to win, and he believes the 98 is the guy he wants to lead, top lane preferred.
That high line is organized. Nothing organized down below.
Junior Motorsports, 3rd, 4th, 5th in the top line, the 8, the 7, the 9. Oh, and the 88. 4 cars in a row. The 8 jumps out of line.
And the 2 other Junior Motorsports cars follow him. The 88 hung out.
And now there's no help in that middle or outside line. Everybody has gone to the bottom.
Sammy Smith out front. Riley Herbst trying to find some help.
And now it switches again. A lot of help in the middle. That was chaotic.
Now if you're Dale Jr., you're excited and nervous. Your 3 cars lined up on the bottom. Can they work together? Can they try to keep the momentum on the bottom lane?
See AJ Allmendinger in that 16 car. He looked like he was in big trouble, but he did a great job of fighting.
Some big pushes happening. Sam Mayer right behind this group, that 16 of Allmendinger. Riley Herbst still making the middle work, and that 98 just can't get enough help to get up there and challenge for the lead. 2-car breakaway as Sammy Smith and Allgaier separate themselves. Now Allgaier, will he stay with his teammate or will he try to take the lead? He goes to the inside for the lead. And on the outside, the 98 of Riley Herbst leaves the 8 of Sammy Smith hanging.
The 42 car, he just shot the middle. Honeyman to get to the 8 car.
Leland Honeyman back there with the white hood, that number 42. As we see Sammy Smith working with the 98, he pushes the 98 up to the 7. Coming up on 4 laps to go. All the way to the bottom of the racetrack. Allgaier has had a terrible last 2 races and trying to turn things around here at Talladega.
He's out far enough, though. If somebody can get a push, he's in trouble. Here comes a push to the 98. Let's see if it's enough. There he goes to the inside.
And Chandler Smith is going to stay behind the 7. He gives him a shove. And now the 8 of Sammy Smith collecting behind the 98. The 7 gets shuffled out.
Yeah, the 81 gave the 7 a shot. It got him loose.
Shuffled or shoved, I'm not sure which, but the 81 was pushed out of line.
Carson Kvapil in the 88 in the middle gets a little bit loose from that push from Brandon Jones. Riley Herbst now goes to the middle to block. He's got Sammy Smith on the inside, and around they go. Carson Kvapil got tagged for the back, the 9 involved as well.
Oh, big still wrecking. Parker Kligerman's in it.
Yeah, big move there. Kligerman straight up the racetrack in big contact.
He was in it late. Cole Custer.
Custer has been trying to avoid any problems this race, and now he gets collected.
What he said, though, was, I've got oil pressure, meaning no damage right now to the oil cooler or anything like that. So if you keep it running, keep it moving, maybe they can get it fixed up and at least claw out a decent finish.
It's going to be overtime. Allmendinger with damage.
Kvapil done a nice job. Had himself in good position late in this race. Brandon Jones.
It looked like Carson Kvapil got shoved and out of shape and up the racetrack, and that started this. We'll have to take a look at the replays, but Cole Custer with a lot of damage.
Yeah, it happened so quickly, and once again in the trial, talked about the trial being difficult. The 9 into the back of the 88. Everything sorts itself out there.
Couldn't really tell if it was just a push gone wrong or the 88 just got loose, but the 88 of Carson Kvapil gets turned left, and then just a mess. Welcome to Speedway racing.
It looked like AJ Allmendinger got into the back of the 48 too.
Yeah, let's watch this again. Watch the 9 and the 88. So the 88 is going to go left right there, and I think that was a push, Steve. I think he got a push from the 9, and when he did, it just kind of shot him to the left into the door, and then all of this happened. Now red flag is out.
Allgaier could not have a bad race here, and then he gets collected.
Yeah, watch that 88. Contact a little bit right there, and then down to the side of the car underneath him, and then up he went. It's the wreck we see over and over at Daytona and Talladega. Just somebody trying to push, and everything's not lined up exactly right.
We were riding along with the 18 of Sheldon Creed there.
Now let's look further back in the pack how some of these guys got in this wreck. You know, they're all a lot of them dive to the bottom and they think they're okay. Look at Parker Kligerman. He's like, I'm good.
Until he got collected. Tagged the back of that car. It shot straight up the racetrack.
Yeah, we talk about it all day. The trial cars just don't drive good through there. But this is on the straight. Big hit by Brandon Jones. Gosh. Oh. Unfortunately, the 5, Anthony Alfredo, he's done a good job all day.
Listen in to Carson Kvapil's radio.
It's pretty. What happened there? I mean, looks like somebody drove through you.
I mean, I think that's a little aggressive. The same push that wrecks you is the push you need to win. And that's really where I struggle with this. Now, I've never made laps around Talladega, but I've watched thousands of laps. I've worked with 2 of the best. And I just think that, you know, it's just a numbers game. And you can get 100 pushes. And 98 can be perfect. And 2 can be bad? And do you have enough time, energy, and space to save those 2 pushes? And with 2 to go, you know, why does that not happen at lap 20? Because that push, they breathe the gas a little bit and the push is easier. But with 2 to go, if you don't push, then you're asking the guy after the race, why didn't you push me?
Right.
We could have gone forward. So the frustration is because drivers like to be in control of their own car. And here, you have to have so much help. I've been crew chief of the receiving team in the wrecks, the ones that get caught up in it and the ones that get through it. It's just a frustrating style of racing.
So the red flag has been displayed. It will be overtime here at Talladega after the track is cleaned up. The crew is doing that right now, but multiple cars involved in this, the big one at Talladega. Again, a reminder coming up next on the CW, it's Colorado State and Oregon State. You see Giovanni McCoy warming up there. He's already thrown for 571 yards in those 4 games that he's played this season. That will be a great matchup there. Just the 4th time that these 2 teams have played each other. Again, a reminder, 6:45 the kickoff Eastern time for that one. So under a red flag condition here, we want to look again at this wreck and how it started.
And we talk about pushes going bad. Happens all the time. But watch right here. Watch a 9 car pushing the 88. I don't know what he's doing wrong, right? He's pushing the 88. He's centered up to him. You know, some cars and setups take a better push than others. And when, yes, he gets to the right rear of him, but only after the 88 goes to the left. And the 9's not pushing him at an extreme high rate of speed from behind. It's just racing. It's speedway racing. And Steve, you said it really well. If the 9's not pushing right there, when the race is over, they're like, dude, like, I need you to be pushing me. Like, but that's a place where you should be able to push me. We're out of the tri-oval. We're going straight. It's just anytime you're pushing somebody, things can go wrong.
So pushing is important. You can't push and steer, right? And when I look at this right here, the question I have is they're all lined up, right? So when we get to the second replay, when you're from behind, if you use either the dotted line or the pavement seam to see which car moves, it looks like the 88 starts to move left, but I can't tell if that's before or after the push. So right here, when these cars go by and you're going to start to see them from behind, you're going to kind of get a reference using, I think, the dotted white line, and there's also a black paving seam you'll see right near the right side tires. So, you know, right here, they're all starting to go straight. Right there, dead straight, dead straight, dead straight. Maybe the 9 a little right, the 88 a little left. Neither intentionally. And I think one moving right 6 inches and one moving left 6 inches gives you just enough force to spin a car out. I mean, we're breaking it down frame by frame. These guys are doing it at 185 miles an hour.
Slow motion.
I just think that, you know, it's a push gone wrong, a teammate trying to help a teammate.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me too. And we heard the spotter say he just drove right through you.
I disagree.
That is not what happened there. That's just one driver trying to help another, to help himself, right? He wants to get that line moving.
And it was teammates. You see the cars involved in the crash, and a lot of those in yellow, playoff drivers. Tough Talladega for them. A lot on the line next Saturday. The NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs roll on at the Charlotte Roval. 8 drivers will advance. 4 will see their championship dreams end. It's NASCAR Xfinity Series playoff racing from the Charlotte Roval. That's next Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Pacific, only on the CW. And they go to work on Allmendinger's car. This will be the 13th overtime finish this season. Are we going to see a record of overtime finishes? There's a lot of races still to go, as there's a lot of work happening on pit road. Look at all the damage to Allgaier in that 7.
Well, you can see, you know, they're trying to get him back out, Steve, to, you know, there could be more cautions. We already have some guys that are in trouble, and if you can make even 2 laps, it could be a difference in picking up some points.
Marty, how about this 17?
Yeah, Jim Pullman used that red flag very wisely, Rick. He kind of called his whole team up to the top of the pit box where he had pictures of the damage, made a game plan, almost like an offensive coordinator walking his offense through on what they needed to do once they got back on the field. So when the red flag was lifted. They came down pit road immediately and started making repairs. Unfortunately, third straight week for the 7 team that they've had to go through repairs in the middle of the race. And right now, Justin Allgaier, the #1 seed coming into the playoffs, 1 point below the cut line. We'll see what happens in this overtime restart, Kim.
Yeah, and A.J. Allmendinger leaving his box, trying not to go a lap down. They did the same thing. They had pictures of the car and the damage, put a plan in place. Team president Chris Rice got on the radio. They did not want him to come down pit road while it was closed, but A.J. said, guys, I know the pictures look like the tires are all up, but it feels like I am going to rip apart this car if I keep it out on the track. He also said he felt like the toe was knocked out. And this team, what a blow for this team. They were more confident coming into this race in the Roval next week. And remember, AJ has not lost an Xfinity Series race at the Roval, but crew chief Alex Jan's telling me he felt like the entire field has picked up their game at road courses. You've got SVG in the field, so they actually felt like this was their better chance to win. AJ now with damage, Dave.
So, Kim, what about the 21 of Austin Hill? Yeah, it's banged up, but he was told by his crew chief, Andy Street, you know, there's a lot of chaos out there and a lot of cars that are busted up, and they may not make it to the finish. And if we're playing our cards just right, we might be able to get this car, yes, this one, to a top 10 finish. And Austin agreed. We've seen it before. I think you might see it again today. A really beat-up car with a really good finish. I want to give you one more report from the medical center. The car that took the biggest hit on that last wreck, Brandon Jones, he was evaluated and released. NASCAR representative told me he didn't want to speak with us because his voice was gone, had no voice. So, but he's okay. Brandon Jones in the 9 car, he is all right.
That's good news. Parker Kligerman in the 48 also saw him take a pretty good hit as well. Let's listen into the 98 radio of Riley Herbst.
Just to put it in the back of your head, 700, 16, 48 all have heavy damage. Same with the 21. Obviously, I know everyone wants to win too, so I know we're fighting hard for the win, but keep in the back of your mind, we need to get points.
I'm not sure that's helping or hurting the situation. I really don't. Those are the situations as a crew chief when, how much do I say? Do I want Riley Herbst focused purely in front to try to win the race on full offense? Do I feel my driver will make a split-second better decision on a block knowing we have to get points? I really don't know. The car behind him, Sammy Smith, even running second right now is only 3 points above. So if I'm the crew chief of the 8, I'm not sure we're having a points conversation. I think this is the 8's race to win and advance. So I might have the opposite. I might tell him, hey, the 98's taking points. Let's not. Let's go ahead and be the aggressor here. Maybe try to change the whole script at the front of this race and see if we can get the 8 to be positive. DJ, I like to be the aggressor. I'm not sure if you're the leader. I don't think I could pull the trigger and start coaching you up on points.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at this point in time. I mean, you have an opportunity to move yourself right on through right here. And I think as far as Sammy Smith goes, yeah, he's had a good points day, or it's looking like with all the troubles that others have had, that he could be inside that top 8. But I wouldn't want to take that chance either. I'm going after the win. But, as we look at the rundown in this top 5 right here, I realize that 5 of the top 6 are all battling for the playoffs. But how about Leland Honeyman right there? He finished 4th here earlier this year. He said during our qualifying show earlier today that the only thing that he wanted to do was improve that 4th place finish, possibly with a win. He might be the outlier here that either pushes someone or gets the right push at the right time.
Nothing to lose. We just talked about it, Steve, letting Riley Herbst know other guys are in trouble. Sammy Smith, he's in a position where he could gain points. Chandler Smith, he's in great shape. Is he willing to make a gamble? Sheldon Creed, Jesse Love, are any of those guys willing to do the things that Leland Honeyman will? Because that guy's going to do whatever it takes to win this race. These other guys have a consequence if things don't go well.
Yeah, a 19-year-old, youth, exuberance, excitement out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Well, there's also a drive for the guy who's driving this car right now, Sheldon Creed. He's in another position where he could win a race. He has not done it yet in the Xfinity Series, and he can see the front. He can see the checkered flag. It's a 2-lap shootout here to find out who's going to win. A playoff driver that wins, they advance to the next round automatically, but points are important. So that's the dilemma that we're in right now.
I'm a little surprised the 2 of Love, you see him right there. What's he, the 6th car in line? Look at the damage to the right front of this. He was kind of in this wreck. And with the damage to the right front, that exposed right front tire, I guess it's not going to rub. They probably took some pictures of it, and the crew determined they were okay. But surprised he didn't come down pit road and to the service of his crew. But I think that shows you that, you know, the points are more available or more important.
Here's the choose. It'll be Herbst and Sammy Smith making up row 1.
Interesting move by Honeyman to stay on the inside and line up in the 3rd row.
Marty, what about Chandler Smith in that 81?
Oh, it's been the exact day that they needed so far. 2nd most points earned for Chandler Smith, who sits in 3rd right now. In fact, a moment ago, Jeff Mendring, his crew chief, came on the radio and said, listen, everything from here is house money. Right now, other than Riley Herbst, he is number 2, as you see right there, plus 68 above the cut line. If he leaves 56 points ahead of 8th in the playoff standings, he'll already lock into the round of 8, one race early, Kim.
What about playoff driver Sam Mayer in row 4? Currently, as it stands, plus 27 points. Here was the conversation on how the rest of the race is going to play out for them.
Do we still have to race here? We just have to close our eyes and pray, or what?
Yeah, I feel like we got to race here a little bit. We can't give up spots because.
So as you heard right there, do we race or do we lay back? It sounds like crew chief Marty Lindley wants his driver to be as aggressive as possible.
We talk about, and that was a great conversation, we talk about the decisions that these drivers have to make based on the situations they're in for points, not points, etc. Let's remember, Riley Herbst is 25 years old, Sammy Smith 20 years old, Chandler Smith 22, Honeyman 19, Creed is a senior veteran, 27 years old. So a lot of youth. And with youth, we typically in race car drivers don't get exactly the best decisions in the world. So let's see what happens here.
The way overtime works, as we're getting ready for overtime presented by Credit One Bank, if the leader gets to the white flag, the next flag will end the race. If he doesn't get to the white flag and a caution comes out, we'll try overtime again. Riley Herbst in the 98 on the inside. Sammy Smith on the outside. Fans here at Talladega cheering him on.
Don't count out Ryan Sieg. The white car running in 6th place.
Outside in row 3 there, that 39. And Leland Honeyman in the 42. Those two side by side as the top 4 break away. And they really break away.
Well, they break away because they were connected, but now as they've broken up, they are going to come back to the pack with a pretty big hurry somewhere over here off turn 4.
Those 4 cars all in line. Here comes the pack.
Yeah, they got single file. That's going to help them a little bit. Sheldon Creed, he wasn't content staying single file. Jumps to the outside.
Ryan Sieg moving around.
Cover middle, white flag.
White flag one more time around here at Talladega.
The 8 is Sammy Smith committed to the bottom, and now here he'll be battling for the lead. A great move by the 8.
How about the move by Sieg in the 39 to get behind the 8? Oh, big push right in the middle of the corner.
Chandler Smith in the 81. What a run. Can he get past the 8? No, he doesn't. Those two side by side down the backstretch. The 98 with a big shove. He's going to try it a bit by. He can't. Nowhere to go for the 27. He's up against the wall. 3 wide for 3rd. They still say side by side for the lead. Sammy Smith on the inside. Chandler Smith on the outside. Ryan Sieg, he gets behind the 8 for the push. Coming up on the tri-oval. Remember, the start-finish line is past the tri-oval. The 8 of Sammy Smith out in front. Now Sieg moves to the outside. At the line, it's Sammy Smith in the 8, and they wreck on the inside. Sammy Smith came in 12th in the standings. He wins his way into the next round of the playoffs.
What do you have to do to make the next round? Win. And he made it happen.
Ryan Sieg 2nd, Riley Herbst 3rd, Sheldon Creed 4th, and Chandler Smith 5th.
Sammy Smith, before this race, asked for a meeting with his car owner, Dale Jr., to review how these races are run, how the pushes work, the positions you have to be in. that extra effort might just be the difference. Why not? When you have an owner like Dale Jr., why wouldn't you lean on him for the experience? And here he is from the bottom of the playoffs to the top and advance with the win.
And that shakes things up. I mean, that puts, you think about the situation that has put some of our favorites in. That completely shakes things up in these playoffs.
Right now, unofficially, AJ Allmendinger 10 points below the line. Justin Allgaier 18 points below that cutoff with the Roval in front of us. There's AJ Allmendinger.
Look, we knew weeks ago this race was going to change the playoff picture. We didn't just know for who positive and who negative. For Sammy Smith, though, let's see some celebration. Has to be such a great feeling.
His first win, we mentioned it earlier, came at Phoenix last year. And that's where the championship race will be determined.
And Rick, there's no question this has been a very frustrating year for this driver and this team. And to have your backs against the wall, have to deliver, have to win a race, and then go make it happen. What can that do for this team? How can they use that momentum moving forward? Because this is a capable race car driver, and it's a capable team. This makes this team dangerous.
Sammy Smith for the smoke show here on the front straightaway.
Junior Motorsports, 87th career win. He has destroyed the left rear. Sammy Smith climbs out of the number 8, victorious and advancing in the playoffs. Jeff, you referenced the youth in this series. Sammy Smith, 20 years old, making all the right moves at the end of this one to find himself in victory lane at Talladega. Kim.
Very excited, Sammy Smith. It's been 56 starts since your last win, and you did it when it mattered most. You came in here 12th in the playoff standings. How did you get it done today?
Yeah, just a great team. My sponsors, everybody that stuck with us. It's been a really tough year, but thank you to TMC, Pilefine J, All-State Peterbilt Group, Render Group, Golden Harvest, a lot of them to thank, Chevy, JRM, all my guys, Philip, Tyler Mon, he did a really great job today helping me. Man, it's been a while and it's been a struggle, but I'm very happy to be here and looking forward to hopefully getting better on these ovals and road courses.
You mentioned your spotter, Tyler Mon. What about your team owner, Dale Earnhardt Jr.? The booth talked about how you sat down with him to learn this style of racing. What kind of knowledge did he impart on you?
Yeah, we did. We sat down with him, I think it was Wednesday, and it wasn't a whole lot, just kind of some stuff he would do in those situations. But man, feels really good to win again.
Welcome to the round of 8.
Thank you.
Sammy Smith is a winner at Talladega in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
And Sammy Smith is headed to the Mobil 1 victory lane here at Talladega. Mobil 1 is the official motor oil of NASCAR. Now let's take a look at the points. As we mentioned it, Sammy Smith came in 12th. Now the only driver in yellow because he has locked himself in to the next round of the playoffs.
Yeah, there's a list of drivers that want to do the same thing next week. You have SVG at the bottom and Allmendinger undefeated at the Roval. SVG so dominant at the road courses. Parker Kligerman always close at the road courses. There's going to be a lot on the line and a lot of great drivers to keep an eye on.
Yeah, back to Sammy Smith. I talked about the momentum. Remember, Philip Bell, the crew chief, this is only their 5th race together. They made that change late in the year before these playoffs started. So now a new driver crew chief combination winning their 5th race. That could be a game changer. They could be a championship contender.
One race remaining in this round of the playoffs as Sammy Smith will make his way back to the Mobil 1 victory lane. Let's go down to pit road and Marty and DJ.
I don't know why I was on pit road, Rick. I should have been up here with DJ because the view here of the start-finish line is unbelievable. So walk me through what you saw in that final lap. Just unbelievable moves by Sammy Smith to be able to pull this off.
Yeah, I think the deal with Sammy Smith, and we brought it up earlier, they found a lot of speed the last 40 or 50 laps of this race. You could see that they had made adjustments. They gave their driver what he wanted, and then I don't know if he realizes who that was pushing him yet, but he owes Ryan Sieg, if nothing else, a steak dinner and a bottle of wine or something, because Ryan Sieg stuck with him. Ryan Sieg had the chance here to do a lot of different things as they headed down the back straightaway. And you can see right there, Riley Herbst wasn't sure what to do. That allowed Jeb Burton to get to the outside. That kind of broke all of that up, and here comes Sieg back to get to the bumper of Sammy Smith, who stayed right there, stayed in the gas, and then got the push that he needed.
Yeah, I don't think Riley Herbst was very happy with Chandler Smith after the race either, but it winds up being Sammy Smith who gets the victory after, I think steak dinner, very appropriate for Ryan Sieg there. And DJ, it's hard to say one win validates his move from Joe Gibbs Racing to Junior Motorsports, but you've been in this situation. What can one win like this do for confidence?
Oh, you never know what it's going to do here. I mean, has been pointed out, and they were talking about it in the booth, the one place that he had won before this is at Phoenix. If he can figure out a way to navigate through the next round, there he is racing at a track that he's won on for a championship. There's nothing better than getting a win, boosting your confidence, and having the team behind you to boost you there. You know, it's quite possible he might be the only Junior Motorsports car that'll be in that, even in the 8 as we look at this, because I know we showed the points there while the two best road racers that are in this series that are going next week to the Roval are outside of the cut line right now.
Very interesting to watch. We talked about the playoff anger. It boiled up at Kansas, boiled up here today. Right now, Kim is with Riley Herbst.
Yeah, Riley Herbst comes home in the 3rd position after looking like the car and the driver to win here today. Led 22 laps. I know you're disappointed. If you could rewrite those last few laps, what would they look like?
I don't know. I knew that the 81 was in really, really good position because he had his teammate behind him, and I knew Sheldon was committed to Chandler. I was kind of frustrated when he took that run. I was expecting him to take that run in 3 and 4, but he took it in 1 and 2, and all that did was kill his run, my run, Sheldon's run, and just let the 8 get away. So I just let him know that was a little bit frustrating, just to, like, we didn't have a fighting chance, any 3 of us right there. So, but all in all, it was a good day, a good rebound from the embarrassment last week at Kansas. So I think we're in an okay position next week at the Roval. It's going to be an absolute dogfight. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Kim, the Monster Energy car had a lot of pace today, and I'm proud of everybody at Stewart Haas Racing. Davin and all the boys worked really hard, and Joey did a really good job on top of the roof as well. So we'll see what we got next week.
That okay position that Riley mentioned, he leaves here plus 13 headed into the Roval, guys.
Yeah, not great, but not bad for Riley Herbst. And if you look at the playoff standings, DJ, I mean, you made this point. There's 4 drivers below the cut line right now. I can make an argument that 3 of the 4 drivers below the cut line, you could say, could be favorites to win the Roval next week.
Yeah, you certainly could, and that just makes things more difficult that for those that are above the cut line, trying to decide how they run that race. You know, stage points obviously are going to be huge. Do they take opportunities to get that in the first couple of stages and kind of solidify their position, or do they have to race for something more than that? It's going to be difficult once again for these crew chiefs to decide exactly how they want to call that race for their driver.
A.J. Allmendinger, Justin Allgaier, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Parker Kligerman below the cut line right now. Let's hear the other side of this story. Dave is with Chandler Smith.
Finished 5th today, 57 up going toward the Roval. How do you assess this day?
I mean, mission accomplished for sure, but it sucks because this number 81 group's been so good on these super speedways ever since the first Daytona. I mean, we were good there, but we weren't great. But we've been so good at every single speedway, plate race, whatever you want to call it. Atlanta came so close. There's been so many times where it's like, man, we were in good position at fast cars, and today, once again, and it sucks that, you know, I'm sitting here griping and moaning about we didn't win the race, but we're the best guy out here as far as points goes. So super grateful for this number 81 group. The number 81 GR Super was as fast as Xfinity Internet today, and all the men and women at Joe Gibbs Racing has been thrashing to bring this raw speed that we had in qualifying today and last time at Daytona. And it's a big step and a big gain than what we had at the first Daytona, even the first Talladega race. So super proud of everybody. Can't ask for anything more than that. And sucks we didn't win it, but it wasn't in the good Lord's plans for us today, and we'll roll with that, and I'm good with it.
Go get him next week, Marty.
Yet another top 10 for Chandler Smith, who barely does not lock into the round of 8, but that young man, Sammy Smith, did lock into the round of 8. I got to be honest, DJ, that's not the driver I had locking into the round of 8 first. No offense to Sammy Smith.
No, but yeah, that's the kind of things that happen. That's why we talked about in the pre-race show, and we talked about leading up to this race, that anything could happen. Any one of those drivers get themselves in position, good things can happen.
Yet again, Talladega does not disappoint. A little chaos at the end. A surprise winner in Sammy Smith, who advances to the round of 8. As you see, CWTV.com/sports for all your information. Coming up next, Pac-12 football, Colorado State at Oregon State.
Hello and welcome.
So if you want to go up to the top, you may only get one shot. And if there's no shot at the top, always give everything you've got.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.